So we're ready. All right. Hello, Latinos in clinical research community. Welcome back to another episode. I'm excited to introduce Dr. Bernardo Ng, board certified psychiatrist and principal investigator of Sun Valley Research Center located in Imperial, California. Dr. Ng was born in Mexicali, Mexico. He is a medical graduate from the University of Nuevo León in Mexico, who completed residency both at Texas Tech University and University of California, San Diego in the United States. Dr. Ng is certified by the American Board of Psychiatry and Neurology, the American Board of Psychomedicine, and the Consejo Mexicano de Psiquiatría. Besides his private practice, his activities include the direction of the Sun Valley Behavioral and Sun Valley Research Centers in Imperial, California, and Centro Geriátrico Nuevo Atardecer in Mexicali, Mexico. Dr. Ng is a clinical assistant professor at UCSD, president of the Asociación Psiquiátrica Mexicana, and immediate past president of the American Society of Hispanic Psychiatry. He has 88 publications, including 41 original articles, 30 abstracts, 10 book chapters, 4 handbooks, and 3 books. He has participated in the execution of over 75 clinical trials and has been certified as proficient in the administration of over 50 psychiatric clinical scales. That's a little background of about Dr. Ng. So Dr. Ng, I guess we brought you on. We actually wanted to kind of get some insight as a PI, Hispanic PI working in a large Hispanic community in a rural area, and just kind of get some background on you. How did you start in clinical research?
Well, again, thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the interest. And I want to first praise you for putting together this community that you're developing. And I want to insist that you keep working on this because if there are few PIs doing who are Hispanics, I think in general, there are very few Latinos doing what you're all doing. So, and this is the one thing that we constantly tell ourselves: how is it possible that being the largest minority in the country, in every profession, in every field, we continue to run into this, that we are so few for how many of us are in the country. And so please keep on doing this. And after saying that, the answer to Judy's question is that being in Imperial County, where I started working almost 30 years ago, it was easy to become an expert in anything because there is nothing of a lot of things. So very quickly you become, if you're able to put together a team of whatever, you become an expert on anything because there is a great need for a lot of services. So back in 1993, when I first, was it 93 or 92? No, 93, when I first started commuting from San Diego to work over there was no research center. There were no clinical trials being done. So it occurred to me that we had to start one. We didn't open Sun Valley Research Center until 2008. Nobody else did that. And then came 2008, we opened Sun Valley Research Center. And since then, nobody else has opened another one. So that's the thing. I mean, in Imperial County, nothing happens. And I know that repeats itself in many other places in the United States. Rural areas are all over the place. Among the things that I've published through the years, I published about rural America. And reality is that 90% of the country is rural. Only 10% of the country is urban. And that's where most of the action happens. But 90% of the country is rural. And if you only were willing, for those that are in urban areas, to drive a little bit further outside the urban areas, you would be very quickly in an area like Imperial County. And you don't have to miss the city's fun. You can do like Judy does, uh, and still enjoy both worlds. And so anyway, that's the answer for the for that one question. If you end up running into a place like Imperial County, which happens to be predominantly Hispanic, then you got it. But if you go to other areas, it could be Appalachian, it could be Native American, it could be African American, it could be Asian American, and just as rural and just as underserved.
Um, let's see. So I guess let's see, sorry.
And I'm
and so
always
what?
preaching. I mean, this is like two things we can talk about. Sorry, Judy, but I just thought of this.
That's okay.
So I've been preaching like rural for the longest time for site owners. There's like Dr. Ng said. There are rural, like 90% of the country is rural. The thing is, there's also a research naive population in those places. I mean, forget about minority, just research naive. And then if you compound that with minority, like 90% Hispanic, 90% African American, you can really do a lot of good for the industry and be rewarded proportionately to the value that you're giving to the industry. Because, I mean, yes, a lot of us live in the big metro cities or the suburbs. If you go a little further out, those patients are not going to come necessarily all the way to your clinic, and take a 2-hour drive. So there's a lot of opportunity there, not just for minorities, but just for research naive in general. That's what I wanted to say. Sorry, Judy.
Hey, Dan. Hi, everybody. Sorry, came in a little late. It's 4 p.m. my time doing work. I did want to kind of mention a little bit to that. So I'm from the Rio Grande, and there, it's almost all rural, or just recently that there, it's kind of coming up in the city scene. But over there, for general physician, there's about, I think, 350 to 500 patients per general physician. And then when you get into specialists, it almost goes up into the thousands. And these doctors, I originally worked at clinics, and that's how I initially got into research, through a site. And that doctor in himself, he had 4 providers under him assisting with the research, and they would see on average at least 120 patients a day. Subjects wise, it would probably be around, I think, 30 to 40, but I mean, they were always extremely busy. And so it's just like Dan said, and just like Dr. Bernardo said, it's really important, that we focus in on the rural areas and give them more attention. Thank you.
Yeah, and I should say that it doesn't come without challenges, because for us, it took years before we were able to send the message to the community that the research, participating in research, was safe and even safer than participating in a regular doctor's visit, right? I mean, this word research, it took us a long time to demystify it, right? Because the guinea pig thing and stuff, it took us years to do that. And it was probably harder than would have been in the metro area, we believe, because it took us, it was a problem. But once we did that, it's been, I mean, it's not completely solved, but it's a challenge. I want to say that it's not been completely solved. But
That's interesting, actually, that you mentioned. So the guinea pig thing, like in the big cities, I've always only had sites in the big cities. That's about to change this year later. But yeah, the guinea pig thing is like a never-ending battle that we get with patients. But you bring up an interesting point in the rural community, maybe because word of mouth is more powerful there, because more people know each other. It's actually easier. It's less of a challenge than in the bigger
no, I
cities.
didn't
That's
say
a good
that.
point. I
I
never
didn't
thought
say
of. No?
I didn't say it was easier. It's been hard. It's been hard, but we've had to invest a lot of our efforts in in being accepted what we discovered is that our population is very giving. The idea that they're participating, that their participation is going to give something to other people has been the key to the success of accepting us, or them being willing to participate in research.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, because that guinea pig thing
Oh yeah,
just doesn't go away. I mean, that's like an everyday battle. And by the way, guys, put your questions in the chat. I'm gonna read I'll read the questions as they come in. We got one for Dr. Ng. It's given the rural setting, are you guys leveraging remote video tech for study visits, informed consent, etc.? Is that helping with access? Is it even relevant, or um, how are you guys utilizing the tech, if at all?
we are using it. We're using it, and we're in the process. You'd be surprised that the people are ready to go, but coverage is not that good. There are pockets without that, without good enough coverage. But especially the younger people, they're very easy to adapt to technology, very easy. And here I'm also at the side, we also have an outpatient clinic. So what I'm answering speaks for both sides of the services that we provide. The youth, they're very, very easy to adopt to this. Uh, but um, but the coverage is not that great in all the areas of the county. But the people, they're adapting well.
Yeah, and just to add to that, just so you guys know, we implemented e-regulatory as of the beginning of January for all our new studies, and the end of last year we implemented e-source for all the new studies, and me and Dr. Ng actually worked on our first patient. We did the second visit yesterday, e-source. So we're still getting the hang of it, the flow of it, because it's something new to us. We're so used to paper source documents, but that was our idea, to transition electronically a while ago. I think we sped it up sooner with COVID, but yeah, we're trying to implement whatever we can to make it easier for everyone, ourselves, the patients, the monitors, the sponsors.
Just to intervene real quick, Judy, we are also wanting to do a series on different systems and stuff like that. So if there's any type of system that you would like more information on, leave it in the chat so that we also know that we can reach out to these companies and possibly get some sort of recording going on that we can provide to everybody on the side outside of webinars, because we're going to be doing things like that here and there. So any other information that you're interested in, please let us know. Thanks.
Yeah, so Dr. Ng, I know you talked about sharing the message of clinical research in the community, but you as a physician and a PI, what has been your experience working clinical trials, trying to work with other providers, other physicians in the community, trying to recruit from outside of our clinic? What's been your experience?
Well, in the training of becoming a physician, there's always this, you become an MD, or you can become a PhD, or you can become both at one point. And supposedly becoming an MD is to be there on the trenches, seeing patient after patient. That's what being an MD is all about, right? But of course, there's always this glamour of becoming an investigator, becoming a professor, staying at the university. So, but all of us that come to an area like Imperial County, well, we're clinicians, right? We see patients in and out, day after day. And some of us, some of my colleagues here, even though we are clinicians, we have this bug of wanting to see, the like this nostalgia about still being a professor, or still being an investigator, or still being a researcher. So every time that I've approached them, they always say, yes, 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 let's do this. Let's get onto it. I want to do clinical trials too, even though that's not really research, because you're not investigating something. In fact, I mean, you're executing a trial that someone else designed, someone with the sponsor, right? You're not really designing the protocol, you're executing a trial, but still research, but not, you're not yourself investigating something, you're executing something that someone else planned. So it's almost the same thing happens almost all the time. We always get very excited, we go visit a doctor, and then it comes that they have to do all these trainings and sit in front of a computer, and then comes the very boring part, right? They have to get certified in this, certified on that, and so all the interest gets lost, and they have to attend a meeting and attend another meeting, and so out of 2 or 3 times, maybe we get one doctor that goes through the whole training and really gets on board to refer patients, or goes the extra mile. But my experience has been that it's very hard. You really need disciplined and really interested, and us as the site, we really have to be very friendly and very supportive with that doctor who's maybe um, referring patients to us, to keep them interested and keep them engaged, to keep on sending us patients. So that takes a lot of work, and I shouldn't be saying this because Judy does most of that work on keeping them interested in reaching out and following up to see what's happening, because uh, it's very interesting work, but when patients are knocking on your door, and like Ash described, the scenario is very similar as the one that she's describing in Del Rio. I mean, busy, 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 and you forget that you had to do the training, and you forget that you had to go and review lab work or review this, and so the clinical work takes over quickly, and it's very hard to keep up with your research responsibilities. So, and then that comes the other thing. How busy are you with your research work to keep you busy the whole time, and where you don't have to be doing clinical work anymore? And in my experience, it has had to be a combination all the time, because it's not enough work of one to keep me so busy so I don't have to do the other part of the work. So it's you have to be very self-directed, otherwise, or have someone like Judy that keeps your schedule straight. Um, so the experience has been mixed, but so about every 3 or 4 doctors that, or colleagues that I reach out to help, maybe one will be a very good support, very good partner that keeps on sending patients and becomes engaged with the research activities.
Mm, yeah, and speaking about that, so we work mostly with psychiatry CNS trials. Why do you think it's hard to recruit from within our own practice, your practice, our database, for the trials that we work on?
Well, one of the challenges with the psychiatric studies is that the real patients have a lot of comorbidities, and the trials are designed to be very pure patients, right? So usually they need to be treatment naive, and we've been more fortunate with patients that we select through our other lines of like through the advertising, through social media, and when they have not received any treatments anywhere, they seem to meet the criteria easier, the inclusion and exclusion criteria, because the because we are about the only 1 or 2 treatment centers in the county. So by the time they come to treatment to us, they've already been treated by a nurse practitioner or a family doctor or someone. So they've been treated by different people or have developed several comorbidities. So that's what's made it harder. And so the patients that, which in a way has been very rewarding too, because the patients that end up coming through our other channels are patients that were not able to secure treatment otherwise. So through our research center, they end up getting free evaluations, free treatments. And once they complete the trials, then we direct them to other treatment centers. And if they had not been for their participation on the trial, they would have continued without treatment probably for another 6 months or so. So that's been very rewarding too.
And as a PI and owner of a research center, and thinking about when you started in research to now, do you think the protocols are more difficult? Do you think we have a lot more systems to use, a lot more things to do to kind of recruit the patient that we would have had to recruit 13 years ago? I mean, do you think it's too much of a burden, everything that we have to do when we start a study? As an investigator, like, what do you think?
Definitely the protocols have become more demanding because of the sponsors are trying to overcome the placebo response that has grown through the years. The placebo response in trials in general has grown, and in psychiatric studies has become even bigger. But at the same time, I think we've become better at performing, at executing the trials.
Mhm.
And I mean, all these requirements to become proficient at clinical scales, having to get certified over and over on the depression scales and psychosis scales and mania scales have made me a better clinician. I mean, even my patients that I see in the regular clinic, I'm better at diagnosing them now than I was 10 years ago, only because I'm forced to be training myself over and over again. Um, but I think that the execution of the trials, the selection of the patients has become harder, and that's become challenging and interesting as it's intellectually challenging. But in general, and this is a very funny and interesting question they ask, because when we get together in scientific meetings, like at the American Psychiatric Association or the World Psychiatric Association, we have these discussions that the industry needs to have the right results, right? I mean, they're investing so much money. They have to have the right results. They have to have the right results. Otherwise, they cannot sell their products, right? And the only way to do that is to have very, very clean patients, very pure patients, right? So there's no, and there's no argument with that. But when you get the papers published and you try to bring them to real life, you don't really find the patients. I mean, the real patients, the patients that we get at the clinic are not like that. I mean, like right now, before connecting with you guys, I'm supposed to record a conference in a week. And the name of the conference is the New Pharmacological Alternatives for Depression. Okay. So it turns out that since 2013, there have been no new antidepressants approved for major depressive disorder. It's almost going to be 10 years.
Wow.
And we haven't had a new antidepressant. We've had at least 3 products for treatment-resistant depression. And in fact, we're working on 2 products for treatment-resistant depression right now at Sun Valley Research. We are, right? But we don't have new products for MDD monotherapy. Why is that? Because they don't want to take a chance, the companies, right? Because of the placebo effect. So I know that the big minds are trying to reinvent a protocol, how they're going to do it, where they're not going to lose money, and it makes sense to do that. So who knows, the next monotherapy agent is going to come with a very difficult protocol. I'm sure it's going to have to be a very or maybe a totally different molecule that we haven't worked with so far. But who knows? So sorry for the long answer, but I think something new has to come because they are becoming harder. They are becoming harder.
And what is your experience getting support from sponsor CROs when we're working on these studies, trying to recruit based on the various methods we have to use to recruit patients?
No, oh no, I think they become more and more strict. I mean, when I first got in, even before I met you, Judy, when I first developed interest in opening a site, I remember the people I consulted with. It was, I mean, things were like so much easier to the point that sponsor would come visit the site, and if you were like halfway equipped and you needed, okay, yeah, we can do this, and the moment they saw that you had patients coming into your office and you needed an extra printer or 2 more computers, they were on your door 3 days later. I mean, like that.
Really?
It was like that.
Wow. Can we go back to those times? Can we go back to those times?
Before you were talking about reviewing budgets and regulatory, it was, oh yeah, you needed an extra printer, right? And 2 more desktops. Yeah, they were there. I mean, it was
Wow.
it was like that. Yeah. So no, those times are gone.
What about in regards to, I guess we won't talk so much financial, but overall, do you think we're spending more time and money finding that ideal patient to randomize compared to, I guess, how it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
Oh, definitely. I think the screen failures have increased as well, and I don't mind the part on safety. I mean, I think that's good too, and I think we have to also be. I'm fine with that. As much as I get frustrated at the moment when, that insulin was a bit too high or the liver function tests were a bit too high, and that's why the patient has to be screen failed. I think, I mean, they're participating in a trial. It's a phase 3. We don't know what might happen. It's better to let the patient go. No argument with that. I mean, they have to be extra observed and monitored. That's fine. But when I do get frustrated when you go through the history, and for some reason the depressive episode was 1 week too long than what the protocol accepts, right? Or I don't know, the score on the depression scale was 2 points off, and therefore, the patient doesn't make it. That's very frustrating to me, but it happens, and you have to respect it. It's not your protocol; it's their protocol. So sometimes that gets to me, and you've seen me get very frustrated at times. But yeah, I think, but I think that they have to secure the consistency of the protocol, and the whole thing is to make sure that they can keep the placebo response down. Otherwise, they're going to see millions of dollars down the drain, and that's, I mean, it's their investment. There's no other way about it. And all health conditions have a placebo response. It doesn't matter. Even those that get treated by surgery, even those that get treated by other more obvious interventions, depression does as well. So, or psychiatric conditions do as well.
So there's probably a lot, a lot of people that are watching or will watch this who might want to get into research, might want to open their own site, maybe come from a rural community, what would be your recommendations to those people who are interested in getting into the field, but they're kind of not sure if they should?
Well, I'm an optimist, and I think they should do it. I want to encourage, especially those who are younger and thinking of becoming, are at crossroads of becoming an MD or not. And especially if you are Hispanic, become an MD. I mean, it's a lot of fun. Because having an MD license gives you an opportunity to do a lot of things, including research, which it opens a lot of doors. And it allows you to participate in many teams. So that's very cool. And research comes in also in a lot of flavors, a lot of levels. Executing trials is a lot of fun. The meetings have changed a lot these days, but when you can attend the investigation meetings and listen to the researchers who are at the labs developing those molecules, the ones who are working with the rats and the animals, and they're telling you what they saw in the microscopes and how they foresee that they're going to do work in humans. It's fascinating, and to be part of that history, it's a lot of fun. And when, I mean, we've been working together so many years, Judy, but drugs that are right now in the market, and we were the first ones giving the drug in this country, and now, I mean, it's normal that patients get them prescribed day in and day out, and we're part of the history of their getting prescribed to the first patients in the United States, and doing that is great. I mean, nobody cares but us, right? But but we did it. We were there.
Doctor and Judy, I would like to piggyback in that question.
Yeah.
And what will be the benefits that you will say have to be a principal investigator owning a site?
Well, I don't know the benefit. There's a lot of headaches.
It's a lot of work.
Well, look, well, we've had good years and bad years, right? I guess, and when we've had, so I guess if you don't own it, you see your paycheck the same every year. But I don't know. It's the idea that you create something and you can keep it alive. At the end of the day, I think is that challenge of creating something and know that you can keep it alive now for, in this case, over 10 years. And I don't know. The other thing is that if we didn't own it, it would have not existed because of the situation that I said at the very beginning. If Judy and I didn't open it, well, at the very beginning, it was 3 of us, it would have not existed. Probably Imperial County, as of now, still would not have had a research site. So there was no other option but for us to open it, to own it, only because such is our community there.
Yeah.
So you see as a benefit that your community has the research option.
Yeah, not so much because it was a greater benefit to us to own it instead of someone else owning it. But the community has it because we took the risk, um, and because we just did it.
So it's fulfilling.
Oh, very much, very much fulfilling. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and just to
Well,
add
thank
to
you.
that, well, to make it successful, you have to have the right team. And some of our staff have been with us like from the beginning, actually several years. So without them, I mean, we really wouldn't be here today.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, seeing that you've had your site, you've been doing this for 13 years with Sun Valley Research Center. What's the next steps? What do you want to do with it now?
Everything necessary that it continues even when I retire. I'm not planning to retire anytime soon, but I just don't want to don't want it to catch me by surprise, because one of the things that and I want to put together that with what Dan said. One of the things that's hard with in rural sites, not only for research but also for clinical settings, is that once you start something, is who's going to continue that, right? I mean, we you open something, and at the very beginning, like even taking a vacation was very hard. The first 5 years or 6 years. So that's something that for those of you who are not in urban areas, you probably have had this experience as well. That who covers for you when you're not when you're taking a vacation or taking a time to go for continued education activities. So that's the first thing. And in the meantime, we really want to grow, and we've been entertaining this thing about moving into areas that are not of the central nervous system. And that was definitely our plan for 2020, and until the pandemic happened. But it actually, we actually moved on that direction. We have our first
Slowly.
postpartum depression study, which is sort of a kind of an intersection with obstetrics, and it's moved forward somehow. So that's the first study that's going to be not completely psychiatric, and that's where we're at.
Great. And I wanted to see if you can provide maybe a little short summary of COVID-19 in Imperial County, your experience as a provider dealing with it, living in the community that has still a large number of positive patients, everything going on.
Sure. Yeah, we've been unfortunately have had the honor that there for a while where we were the county with the highest per capita number of cases. And I think that happened around the summer. And then we already had our first tier of vaccination now. We have a large elderly community. In fact, one of my other business ventures was a day program for seniors, and that one has been greatly affected. I still see the patients, and they've really missed, and they've been affected because they no longer can attend the program. They've been receiving services by phone, and receiving some materials to continue some activities. They are so it's a community that has been affected greatly. At the office, several of us already contracted the virus and been recovering at different phases through the year. we've taken a lot of measures. Actually, from the beginning, we moved to virtual visits very quickly. We're sanitizing the facility every day. We removed chairs from the waiting area, but we're hardly receiving anybody in person. We provide TMS, which is transcranial magnetic stimulation, and we canceled those services at the beginning. We only have one active patient right now. Everybody who goes to the office, that not everybody does, but everybody who does wears a mask all the time. We're looking to, we have applied to become a vaccination site and a testing site. We're in the process, application process. We don't know if we will become either one or not. What we do know is that measures will continue like this for 2021. If everything goes well, we know that vaccination will be completed in the country until the end of the summer, which means to us that in a region like ours, will probably be until the fall, because everything comes a little delayed in Imperial County. So that means that, I mean, this situation, lockdowns, social distancing and all that will probably remain the same until October or November. So that's what I can comment. And sorry, I didn't say it in a very organized way. That's kind of where we're at.
And actually, I just saw a comment come in about a research site can apply to become a vaccination center. I believe so, because actually we got local guidance that any clinic physician that was interested could apply. I actually did apply for research. We had to sign up for, I think it's called we're in California, so it's called CAIR, where you have to register if any office that gives vaccines. I guess there's this central system that you report all the vaccinations to. So that's the first step. I was able to do that for research. We got approved actually a lot of more new patients, adults, children, because we work with all of them. What has been your experience?
Well, I can divide it in children and adults. And it's funny because some have done better and some have done worse. So with children, the ones that are fall within the category of autistic spectrum, actually most of them are doing better because they're not socially challenged, having to go every day to school. So in some of them, I have had to actually been able to reduce the dose of some of the medications that I prescribe. Others, the ones that are more socially, that depend more on seeing their friends, they're getting more depressed. I've had a couple of suicide attempts on teenagers in the course of the last 10 months. With adults, I've had a couple of people that definitely developed what was described as the Covet stress syndrome, and which is the syndrome where you're constantly seeking for reassurance, washing your hands all the time, constantly obsessed about having caught the virus. This particular patient was sanitizing the TV remote over and over again, and if one of her adult, she has 2 adult children that go to work. The moment they came back from work, anything they touched, she would clean over and over again. Unfortunately, came one day where she was so tense that her husband invited her to have a couple of beers. She felt better, kept on drinking, and she ended up cutting herself. Seriously, she ended up hospitalized like that. And then, as I was saying a while ago, the elderly patients, the ones that have had to stay home a lot, and without the social stimulation, they've had their memory problems getting worse. So definitely the isolation has made some of my patients worse, except for the ones, as I said, the children who are within the autistic spectrum. And so the ones with ADHD, some of them have adapted to distance learning, some have not. And then there's a mixed aside from that. So for example, there's a population that they've done very well. I have a lot of patients who are Jehovah's Witnesses, and they've done very well. Jehovah's Witnesses managed to stay connected very, very well through Zoom, and they have all their religious activities on the same schedules that they regularly do. And they don't go out at all like they usually do. They have very, very good leadership. They've done very well. In fact, some of them are doing better than before the pandemic. And what I've also noticed are the people that used to work out regularly and they managed to continue working out indoor, they've done very well too. So it's very variable. There are people who've adapted well and people who haven't. So it is a very interesting year from that perspective. And however, mental health will continue to be an issue even after the pandemic is over, even after the vaccination. There's a lot to learn from this on the aftermath of the pandemic, I'm sure.
Thank you, Dr. Eng, very much for your time. I want to get into some questions, and then we can do a mix of Q&A, and these are questions that really anyone can answer if you have experience, not just you, Dr. Eng. But of course, we want to hear from you first. And then we do some networking at the end. Think of it like a virtual mixer, all right, where people can just kind of network, see who can help each other out. Maybe somebody has a study lead for someone else. Who knows? Could be anything. So this first question, can a research center apply to become a vaccination center? And I mean, I have my thoughts on this, but anyone else want to chime in? Feel free. And then before we end, I got to ask Judy a question. So remind me, Judy.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I
Before
think,
we end.
I asked that question earlier, but yes, a research center can apply. I know in Imperial County, we were able to, so I would recommend checking with your local public health office, reach out to them and see what the steps are. But I assume you are going to have to register on a national database about giving vaccines. I don't know what it's called in every state. It's the same thing, but definitely look into that.
And this is another example of where rural is better, right? Because I'm here in Anaheim. We have Disneyland. That's a vaccination center. My clinic's not going to get that. We have Disneyland here. They're the vaccination center. But in smaller places, that might be opportunity there. Another question from Marjorie. How's it going? Marjorie from Topaz Research. How are you guys doing? The question is, how do we as a research site reach into the Hispanic community? What have you guys offered them in order to create the trust to go to your site? Very good, very practical question. Judy or Dr. Ing, what do you guys do? What's your magic over there?
Okay, the one thing that is to stress on the very obvious, that if you compare what goes on, all the safety measures that go along with the visits on the clinical trial are triple or quadruple what happens on a regular visit with the doctor. So I insist on pointing that out. And for example, right now that we have a couple of adolescent trials, which happen to be medications that are already approved for adults. So I stress that out. I said, look, if you were coming to see me on the regular clinic site, I would be probably prescribing the same medication to your son or your daughter, because that's what we do. It's off-label, but that's what I do because it works, right? And I wouldn't be required to be drawing so much blood or checking all these things on your son because it's not required on the blood. But But here on this protocol, I'm obligated to do it. And it's going to be completely free for you. So I underscore the safety measures a lot. That's one of the things. And the other thing is what I mentioned a while ago, that it's for the little time that the protocol is, the results, whatever they are, they're going to be helping in the future to other children. The results will be helping.
Yeah, and just to add to that, aside from that, we do have somebody that does marketing outreach with us in the community. They are actually, well, I mean, before COVID, because COVID changed all of that. They were out in the community. They were attending health fairs. They were following up at doctor offices. Think of it like a pharmaceutical rep. You know, they're there like every week on a specific day trying to meet with the doctors, and they bring like coffee, snacks. So we kind of started doing that model, like go to the doctor's office, take coffee to the front office, because the front office staff are the ones you want to make friends with. They're the ones that are going to allow you into the office. They're the ones that are going to let you meet with the doctor, the PA, the NP. So we were kind of starting to do that, and it was starting to work, but then COVID hit. So we actually put a lot of that on hold, but we're trying to restart it again slowly. But definitely have somebody being the face of the research center in the community does help a lot with recruiting and education. I've always talked about this educating the community about clinical research. You have to continue to do. If they don't know what research is, they're not going to listen to you. They're not going to take the flyer. They're not going to call your office. They're not going to come in. So you have to continue to educate, and you'll be surprised how many doctors don't really know about research, how many other providers, clinics don't really know about research. So you do have to put in the time, effort, work.
Okay, we got another question. What is your, and we kind of answered this, but maybe you just want to give like a, quick one. What is your strategy to enroll patients during the pandemic? Which is a loaded question, but what do you guys do there?
I think that the main thing was to point out the difference compared to all the other times. They were very safe at the site, they were all wearing protection, that the place is sanitized, that they're being scheduled when nobody else is going, or, that they're not going to be overlapping with another patient. So that they feel safe when they come in.
Yeah, as Dr. E mentioned, we stress that a lot. We have it on our website. When we contact a referral and follow up and confirm, we tell them all of this. We've had to change the way we do our visits. Instead of working in a small consultation room, to actually going to our conference room so we could spread out and have the 6 feet apart. But it has slowed down a lot. Recruitment has been hard during COVID. I don't have the answer to that. If you do have the answer, share it with me. We're still trying all these things to figure that out because it has been still difficult and slow to recruit for all our studies.
Okay, last question before I ask Judy my question, and then we'll unleash total chaos and just everyone unmute and introduce yourself, what you do, and all that kind of stuff, and we'll go like 10 minutes with like helping each other out. I had 2 more questions. Okay, Chris has a good one. Well, now you guys got all the questions coming through. Okay, Chris says, what percentage of your enrolled patients comes from your clinic database opposed to outside your clinic? Just like a rough estimate. What do you think?
Well, it's gone more outside our database. Well, our clinic. We've been building a database from outside, but I guess like 5 to 1, Judy, 5 or 6 to 1.
Yeah. So as Dr. Ng mentioned, many years ago, it was a lot easier to recruit within our practice and to get them. But now, since the protocols are so complicated, the criteria is so complicated, it excludes a majority of Dr. Ng's private practice. It also excludes a majority of the patients already in our CTMS system. So then we have to go to the next option, like where are we going to find these patients in the community? And that's the struggle we've had with some studies.
Yeah, these studies are so tough nowadays. They exclude most anybody. Okay. How do we find Hispanic physicians in the community? I like this question. How do we find Hispanic physicians in the community for clinical research? I don't know. Who wants to answer this one? Could be anybody.
What we need is to tell your children to become doctors. So that
Yeah.
There you go.
I got two. I got.
That's
and
the long-term
I got two. Maybe
strategy.
one will make it.
Doctor,
Very long time
Is there- is
preference
there-
for your return on investment.
is there
Okay?
any
But be
is there any
patient.
group that you assist that has just like Latinos doctors, MDs?
Yeah, the American Psychiatric Association has a Hispanic caucus. And and let me I'll give Judy how you can reach them.
Oh, thank you, doctor. By the way, my name is Monica Cuitiva, and I would like to say thank you for being part today of our Latinos in Clinical Research.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thank you very much. Very generous of your time. Lee Laptop is asking. I know who Lee is, but Lee Laptop is asking a question. Elizabeth Delgado, shout out to you. You're on the call, and is a new coordinator at their clinic. Plenty of experience as a medical assistant, but new to research. So, what advice can we give to her?
So she's new to clinical research and you're trying to train her, I assume, into like a research assistant coordinator position. I mean,
I'm not
you have to, or you're not qualified. Do you have somebody else on staff who's qualified who can train her?
Yes.
Or you do? Yeah, so that's pretty much, I mean, it's really going to take that one-on-one training with someone who is already experienced in the field. You know, start with the basics, patient screening, how to understand inclusion, exclusion criteria, protocol, and then start, you know, training them on the other procedures and see what they can do. Sometimes they're better at some things than others, but it does require, I mean, really one-on-one training to get someone to that level of being able to do what you need to do for research. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Lee, otherwise you can register here in the CRC Academy.
I like that. I love that
Yes.
answer.
I
from
promise
Monica.
you
Doing really good. She's
That
catching
might be
on.
easier. That might be easier.
That's much more easier. This is what we do.
Guys, I have to go see patients. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh,
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Ing. Very much
Thank you, thank
appreciated
you.
for your time. Would love to have you back on again at some
Thank
point.
you.
We appreciate it.
Sorry, guys, I had blocked him only from 2 to 3, and so he's back to back with patients.
Yeah, no problem. That's busy PIs, but it's good.
Mhm.
Okay, and we're gonna unleash chaos here anyways, but I think Hispanic doctors can be the most complicated type of investigator. This is not me saying this, guys, somebody else saying this. Hispanic doctors can be the most complicated type of investors. Other physicians are a bit more open-minded. I don't know.
I don't know.
What do you think, Monica? I'm trying to think which PI is Hispanic that I work with regularly. I can't.
Well, I have a
I can't
big
think
background
of
with
one.
different physicians, and I honestly think that's very speculative. It's definitely brought it out, I think, based off of personal preference and position, and also, you know, their I guess view thought process. So I've dealt with at least 4 different research physicians, and even behind that, other physicians in different specialties. And so definitely, I think that's based off of doctor per doctor. But of course, if you've only worked with, you know, Hispanic physicians, then it might be a little skewed or biased, but for sure.
Yeah,
I agree with you. It goes case by case. It's not really, it's not, I mean, I will not generalize because it's just depending on what their interests are.
I like that though. Actually, that's as speculative as
Yeah.
Ripple XRP.
Yes, it
XRP.
is.
You guys want to go down a rabbit hole? XRP. Okay, let's go with the total chaos. Just everyone unmute yourself if you want. Talk about what you do and how we can help each other, because you never know who's listening on the other end of their laptop or computer, you know, what they can do or what you can do. Let's go about 10 minutes of this. I'm going to mute myself and you guys, and I'll jump in if I have an answer or something good for somebody.
Sure, I could go. Yeah, sure. My name is Leticia, and I'm located in the Bay Area in California. Just for me, I think it's exciting. Really happy that the community that's this is my first meeting, couldn't make the, I guess, the former one, but just to give you some background, So I work with Linea System, and we are in the clinical trial technology space, but we also provide services coupled with the application that really helps to streamline and automate site identification, feasibility, and activation. Part of the services that we also provide is working with anyone running clinical trials, whether on the sponsor end or CROs, helping with investigator site selection. So really just here to network and to share, just information about opportunities and to learn from the broader community. Really have also a specific interest in diversity and ensuring that our clinical trials do have the, the strength of being diversified in terms of the patient population and the investigators.
Awesome. Well, thank you
Nice to meet
so
you.
much.
Mhm.
Nice to meet you. I did want to mention also the reason we want to get to know you all is because we want to showcase our members over time. We also want to be getting to know you all each individually, doing one-on-one interviews, because regardless of your position, whether PI, MA, lab technician, you're all part of a very essential process. And we want to showcase that to the rest of the organization, the community. So if you are representing an organization, if you are part of an actual site, whatever it is that you do, if you feel that you have something great to present to the organization, or you'd like to share a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your site, we'd love to hear from you. So please, feel free to reach out to me, Judy, Dan, or Monica, and so we can schedule with y'all, especially in my situation where I want to, network with those that are behind with the actual, any type of tech. We want to bring out to the community and make all sites aware and PIs aware of how we're linking with them and all of that good stuff. But yeah, anybody else want to introduce themselves?
I'll
Hi.
introduce myself.
Sorry. Oh, you go ahead.
Belkis, we love Belkis. We just did a
Hi.
podcast. We just did a
How are you?
podcast. How's it going,
Yes, we
Belkis?
did. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, can't complain, Let's just looking forward to unleashing complete chaos within networking. Let's see how this goes.
Yes, absolutely. We're down here in South Florida. We tend to get a little busy. We have diversity, and we are also trying to address some of these issues that we keep encountering, as I've mentioned before. It's wonderful to be part of Latinos and bring more awareness to our community. And I'm glad to be sitting on here today. It's been very informative. So anything I can do to help, I'm available and happy to help. I'm always happy to give a helping hand here.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you. Mhm.
It's nice to meet all of you. Yes, absolutely.
I'll go there.
Awesome.
My name is Alfredo. I'm a foreign medical graduate. I'm relatively new in the States. I just came here a couple of years ago. I come from Bolivia, and I decided to get into clinical research last year. So I got into a very intensive course here in Phoenix, Arizona. And I went into work, and it was completely different than what I expected. Of course, I have more than 35 years of medical practice, and I didn't want to make medical practice in the States because it's too complicated. So I got into clinical research and in a rare disease, neurological disease investigative center. And it was quite an experience. I learned a lot. I received a lot of training. But unfortunately, the site downsized. And since October last year, I've been trying to get into more, like a research coordinator. But it's so difficult. And it's maybe I'm not going the right way. So when I saw Judy's site, I mean, I was really surprised and I was very happy. So maybe I could learn something. And well, I learned a lot with Dr. Bernardo's today. And well, it's so good to meet you, and so good to know that Latinos are moving forward in clinical research. And yes, actually, what I'm doing right now is looking for opportunities.
Nice to meet you. We might have to talk later, Alfredo.
Yes, yes.
Hi, we'll go next. My name is Lucia, and this is my business partner, Bianca. We are the founders and directors of Absolute Clinical Research, an integrated site network with 4 different clinics across the valley. We have been wanting to join and be more involved with Latinos in clinical research, and finally got the opportunity to join a meeting. We're very excited, as a large part of our population are Hispanic participants. So we definitely want to increase that and see how we can help other sites in our community as well.
Was that the Valley in Rio Grande or Cali?
We're in Phoenix, actually. We're going to have to connect with Alfredo.
Wow.
Yeah, you guys are close. Yeah, that's right. You guys are close.
Elizabeth and I are in Phoenix as well.
Yeah.
We'll have to connect up. Maybe.
Awesome.
Wait, did you say you're here in Phoenix too?
I am.
Oh.
We have a site at 43rd and Thomas.
See,
Oh,
this
okay.
networking is good. I'm gonna be in
Yeah.
Yuma
We're
in May.
neighbors, actually, because we're on
Where are you guys
43rd and
located?
Northern.
Where are you guys?
43rd Avenue in Northern. So
Oh,
we're,
43rd
yes, we're super close to each other.
Oh, yeah, 43rd Ave in Northern. Okay, yeah, so we're right up the road. Excellent.
Are you West Valley Research?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I did see you pop up on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Well,
Nice.
nice to meet you all.
Oh, Lee is the man.
See.
Lee is active
Wow.
on LinkedIn. Lee is like, when he puts his mind to something, Lee laptop just goes. He goes. But yeah, we made a connection already.
Represented.
Hello. Hello, this is Ana Caro from Mexico. I'm very happy to be with you, and thank you very much. And I wish you all are fine and healthy during this pandemic. And as everyone, I'm very glad to be with you and learning a lot from all of you. Thank you very much. From Mexico, anything you need, I am now part of you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Where in Mexico are you?
I am in Mexico City.
Mexico City. Okay.
Wow.
And do you work in,
I need to go
are you a investigator? You work in research? What
Well,
area? Do you,
Maybe, I'm sorry, 7 years ago, I was a senior CRA from Pfizer and Roche. That was my experience. But after 2011, I became a CRC in hospital of the family business, learning a lot of you. Something are different in Mexico, but most of all are the same. And I'm glad to see all the postcards from Dan and now from you. I am still learning. I think every day we learn a lot. Thank you very much for everything.
Thank you so much.
Nice to meet you.
And one of the, I see Mariama Yorga, one of the nicest people I've ever met on LinkedIn. If you guys don't have the pleasure to be connected with Mariama Yorga, you need to. It's just like, seriously, one of the nicest people I've ever met online.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you. Thank you, Dan, and thank you, Monica. And you guys really appreciate time, training, and everything. So my name is Mariama Yorga. I'm PhD research. I was working in a very close medical university, NeoMed, North Ohio Medical University. It's like 20 minutes from Cleveland. Well, unfortunately, I closed my laboratory because we didn't have any fundings. As you know, as a PhD, we have to write our grants. So I submit probably 20 grants to the NIH, and I go to grants from American Heart Association, but the situation forced me to close my laboratory. So I just moved into clinical research, but unfortunately, I cannot have any kind of opportunity because it's very hard, you know? First of all, because I don't have the full training. I'm trying to do kind of training, but not like full complete training. So I just follow like Dan or Monica's in all YouTube videos, but I just looking for a position.
Sure.
It's very hard when you don't have the training. People don't believe you.
Mari, where are you located? Can you tell
In
them?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
It depends, and I have like 40 papers. I have like almost 4 grants, and I have a patent now. It's hard. It's very hard. So.
Yeah, we actually have to collaborate maybe because I'm not always, but I'm often getting asked for grant writers, and I don't know any. So maybe we can talk like on
please.
LinkedIn.
Happy to.
Yeah, I didn't know that actually about you.
You have my.
I didn't know the grant writing part.
But I think you have my CV. I sent it to you.
Oh, I gotta look through the email. Yeah, but that's good to know because the grant writers are really. I think last time we talked about there was a doctor from Colombia and we were talking about like how do we do investigator-initiated trials. I think there's like a wide open business there because all the grant writers I talk to, I mean, they're like mortgage brokers. Like right now, you can't even get them to call you back. Like I don't know what's going on. So the one who answers the phone is the one that's gonna get the business these days.
I agree. Hi, everybody. I'm Marjorie Guzman with Topaz Clinical Research in Apopka, Florida. Here's Carla, my business partner, Carla.
Hello, Carla Francisco, Topaz Clinical Research, Apopka, Florida.
And we are in Central Florida. And Mary, I'm so happy to meet you because we actually have been going through the same thing, trying to figure out if there are opportunities for grants. As a clinical research site, we're also looking to open up a pediatric office. We are Hispanics, we're females, and I'm a veteran. So I know that there's grants out there to help us out, help us expand our businesses besides waiting on a PPP loan. There is other opportunities. It's like, how do we even start writing a grant? Where do we even start looking? Who's out there to help us? And like Dan mentioned, it's hard to get in touch with anyone. And if they do, and the first thing they say is like, oh, you're a research site. Let's charge you a whole eye and a leg. I mean, that's what they're looking at. So, I mean, I think that the grant writing, maybe focusing on our types of businesses could be a great opportunity. Present yourself like that, because that is something that we are definitely looking for. Carla tried to sit down and figure out how do we write a grant. Yeah. And we were like, oh my God, we don't even know. There's so many numbers that we have to know, this number, that number, and we had no idea. And we just don't have the time for it.
All of us didn't know Mari is the most wanted.
Yes.
Oh, you never know, you know?
But I asked first. So Dan asked first, I asked second. So you have we'll have to get our info to you.
I kid you not, 1 out of 10.
Very person. I really like it. Yeah. It's like, it's part of my, I'm in research like almost 20 years, like writing papers, grant, every 2 months, because it's the only way that you can get some money for the lab.
1 out of 10 physicians, 1 out of 10 physicians I talk to, they don't care about the money in research. They just want to do their own kind of study and get a grant. And I get stuck, like including my new PI in Yuma, he was asking me about, can you write grants for me? And I want him to join. So I'm like, yeah, we can definitely do that. But I have no idea how we're going to do that. So now we have Mariama Yorga.
Yeah. But you know what? Writing a grant is not easy.
No,
it's because NIH have very good standards. So it's not easy. I submit a lot of grants to the NIH. And I didn't get one.
Wow.
So, and by the way, my investigation line is cardiovascular disease. This is what I'm doing during all my trajectory research. So but happy to help if I can.
Huge demand for that.
Yeah.
Huge demand.
Just to add to Marjorie, that's funny you mentioned about grants, because actually I was looking into it last year, since we're located in a rural community, Hispanic, if there was a way to get grants to promote clinical research. Like there's this thing, I don't know if you guys have heard of promotoras. I think in like LA County in certain areas, there's promotoras, and their job is to go educate the community about certain conditions. They're usually funded by some type of grant, community grant. So I actually started looking into it. Is it possible to do that through research? Because we don't really have that going on in Imperial County. I didn't get very far though, because then I saw you have to write a bunch of stuff and I gave up.
I'm actually been researching since probably a few weeks ago that you mentioned about the being a female's diversity and all that stuff, if we could get benefits out of it. And yesterday I found a website that I could send everybody. It has some information about it, but I will still be researching more and I will be sharing information.
Yes, please. Yes, because I mean, we are a Hispanic site, minority owned, female owned, and veteran owned. And I know that there's opportunities. There are, and like you said, it doesn't necessarily mean, we are going to create a whole side of the building for it. But maybe there is a grant out there to help promote the community. Maybe there is a grant. I mean, we know that there are not-for-profits in the area that are getting grant money and spending money just to spend money. So that's another story. But the point is that there has to be other opportunities for our small businesses.
Yeah, and to have you guys connected with your local small business administration offices? Sometimes they have a different name, like ours is called Imperial Valley, I think, Development Workforce. So connect to them, sign up for their newsletters. They're sending information every week about various grants, various loans, anything regarding PPP, EIDL, plus all the other stuff. Sometimes they offer free marketing, outreach consultation services. Sometimes they offer free train you on how to do social media, but it's you're through your local SBA office. So I would go to the main website and just put your zip code and see what pulls up and connect yourself with them.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks, Judy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and another thing that I would like to mention is one of the ideas that we have within the Latinos in Clinical Research is to create a database with everybody that is part of the Latinos in Research by areas. So for example, just all the clinics and people that provide certain services, so we can help each other and have available this database. But in order to do it, obviously we will need all that information from you. So I think we're going to send an email to everybody, so that way we get all that data and we can organize that to start providing services in between all of us and help each other, because obviously that's the best way, one of the benefits of belonging to a community.
Yes, and to piggyback on that, just if you all have not yet actually gone into the website, the organization website, we have a login there where you can put in your credentials, your full name, your contact information. And if you can do that, that would be great, just so that we can have, for sure, all your information available. And, if you're wanting to reach back out to us after we send the email, if you can provide us information about your site or where you work, what you do. So again, we can sort through everybody and see how we can help you out more directly. Because, there are certain things that we want to discuss or we want to bring up as topics for y'all, but just, of course, to be giving some insight to our members, we really want to do that. So just, if you haven't done that, please do that. Thanks.
Yeah, who else needs to go? And by the way, in the comments, I like the LinkedIn. Everybody should connect with one another. And then who else wants to introduce themselves or reintroduce themselves, maybe?
I'll speak up. This is Joe Gow from Charleston, South Carolina. Tori was on here earlier with me, my colleague, but I work for a IT company in the clinical trial space, specifically with the participant payment space called Greenfire with the ClinCard. It's a reloadable debit card that optimizes the efficiency of making participant payments. And we actually have a virtual card coming online soon in the next few months. So that might be helpful for rural sites to be able to disseminate a payment card remotely. But I actually found out about this group through Danielle Coe, the founder of the Black Women in Clinical Research, when she and I participated this summer in the White House initiative on HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. But our company, we're actually going to be interviewing Danielle Coe, I am, next month to describe her initiative. And maybe that's something we could do with some folks here in the future, but then put that information out on LinkedIn and just continue to network. Our overall goal, at least mine, is I've been in clinical research for 30 years, with the 20 years in an academic medical center, 10 years in the VA headquarters in Washington, DC. But just the whole issue of the underrepresentation in clinical trials in terms of the patient participation and the workforce. And this group's really interesting to me because you're focused on the workforce. And I think it's a real opportunity for us to work together to promote the workforce, which can drive the inclusion among the participants. So that's kind of my background and why we continue to participate.
Awesome.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Definitely need to collaborate for sure.
Yeah, we can all use a Clin card around here.
Will you
We
send
all
me
have.
looking for a system like that? Creo seems too expensive.
We have, yeah, true. We have to talk shortly. I'm happy to have a discussion with you offline.
Yeah.
And see where we can go from there.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hi, hello everyone.
I'll go the next.
Oh.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Monali, and I first of all thank you everyone, especially Dan. This is how I got connected.
Thank you, Manali.
Yeah, my background is in medicine. I'm a foreign MD. I did my MBA over here and got into clinical trials. Currently, I work with as a clinical research director in one of the pharmaceutical companies. I've been looking for diversity in clinical research, and that's how I started looking for. We are looking for patients from a diverse background, especially Latinos and Asians. So that's the reason I wanted to research more about it, the community, how to get into it, so we can get more patients in that area. And other than that, there's a lot of good information and knowledge to be connected with all of you and get more insight into the clinical research space. That's what I'm loving about this group actually. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I just want to mention, I have a few of my staff on here and I know they're on mute and no camera, so I'm going to introduce them. Michelle Delling is one of my study coordinators. Rosie, R-O-S-S-Y. Rosie Sanchez, she's another study coordinator who's actually been with us pretty much since we started. And I think Leslie Ruiz is also on here and she's our research assistant. And actually, just to give you a short story, she reached out to me. She was looking to volunteer to get experience. She's working on her bachelor's in psychiatry at a local community college. Her professor encouraged them to reach out and see if they can volunteer anywhere. I brought her on. Next thing you know, like a month later, my research assistant resigned. And guess what? She got offered a research assistant position. So now she's with us, paid position within like, I think a month and a half.
Awesome.
That's awesome. And a great way to ensure that your staff is working is have them on the Latinos in Clinical Research. Make sure that they attend. Judy, I had a couple questions for you. So one of them was, well, actually, the community college thing is very interesting to me. I think that a lot of these community colleges, especially in smaller areas, I got this idea from ASU, actually, my arch rival from University of Arizona State University, the Sun Devils. They were trying to do a community-based research. They had a bunch of consultants send in proposals, and then they chose nobody and probably like integrated all the ideas themselves. But I think there is an opportunity for community colleges to get involved, especially in rural areas, with research, like the same exact model that ASU was trying to do? Why just let the big universities
Right.
do it? I mean, why not do it at a community college level? So if you or your staff know anybody from that place, I have the entire blueprint for how to do it, and you guys have the infrastructure there. I'm looking to do the same thing in Yuma and anyone else in any other rural area. I mean, just go to your university, college, community college. That was just an idea I got just right now from you talking to your staff. So thank you for that. And I had to ask you, Judy, okay, your business, you've owned it for 10 years in a rural area, but you live in San Diego. So for somebody else out there watching, they're like, maybe I live in Miami, but I should be, I don't know, someplace like where the tigers are, like, those zoos where people pay to go see tigers, or someplace rural, right? Outside of Miami. How do you manage it? Because it's for you, it's like a 2.5-hour drive, right?
Well,
It's not like
just so you guys know,
hour.
I live in San Diego County, but our office is in Imperial County. So actually I live close to the 8 freeway. The 8 freeway takes you straight to Imperial County. So from my from my house to my office, it's like an 1.5-hour drive, give or take 15 minutes. There is no traffic going there. There is hardly no traffic coming back. So I don't mind doing it. Now, the reason I do it is because I love to do it, obviously the opportunity, but I always considered if I worked in San Diego, I'd probably have to work in North County. My commute would be an 1.5-hour, 2 hours, maybe each way.
20 miles.
Yeah, just to go. Exactly. So, and that's traffic, sitting, wasting time. So I've been doing it actually for 13 years since we had a research center. But then prior to that, my other company tried to open an office down there, and I was going down, I think like 1 or 2 years before that. So actually I've been going like 15 years back and forth.
Wow.
Yeah.
2 hours? That is dedication.
Yeah, it is. But, it's one of those calm drives. It's desert area, mountains. So, I get to think about a million things I got to do when I get there. And then I
really
get there.
is.
Yeah. And
It's
I
a
do
great-
like 5.
You can use that
Especially at
time to
night.
listen.
Right, like
If you take that
de-stress.
drive at night, you can see from all the light pollution here, you don't see any stars. When you go out there, I was like, what am
Yeah.
I looking at? I didn't know the sky looked like that.
Exactly. And then I get to catch up on Dan's podcast. So there you go.
That's what I was going to say. You get to listen to
Yeah,
Dan's
exactly.
podcast.
That's where I catch up on all the interviews.
I didn't know nighttime looked like that dark, until I got out of
Yeah.
the city and started looking. I was like, wow, a little bit scary.
Yeah, we're trying to move into the building so we don't have to drive.
There
Most
you
of us
go.
have to drive an 1.5 hours. If I could move into the lab, I would. I mean, really.
I have to leave just because I have class at the CRC Academy.
Oh yeah, good plug.
So thank you everybody
Monica.
for being
Monica.
part today of our Latinos in Clinical Research. Happy to have all of you here, and wonderful to meet more Latinos and more, not just Latinos, but in general community that are interested on diversity.
Yes.
Yep. Good
So
job.
nice to meet you.
And Daniel, I think
Hi.
Daniel Torres, maybe you're the last one that wanted to introduce yourself. I think
Thank
it was
you.
you, right?
Yes, 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 it was. Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel. I am currently in Spain, Barcelona.
Oh, wow.
And after some consideration, my business partner and I are considering opening up a patient recruitment company. And we, of course, have a lot of questions, which might even be possible to have a conference on it in perhaps future Latinos in clinical research. So I'll try to be as concise as possible. We've been having trouble finding out price-wise how the market is moving right now in Spain, because we don't want to run into a situation where we charge 20 and the market is moving on an average of 100, let's say. So
You open yet, Daniel? I'm sorry to interrupt.
Sorry?
Have you opened up yet?
No. Nothing concrete yet. We're barely starting on a business plan and gathering more people.
I have a patient recruitment company that might sell for a little bit. It's kind of tripping up. It's creating some conflict with my research because I can't refer my own patients. So now forum I send them to my clinic, or I'm not getting reimbursed, I may talk to you about it. And if you're not interested, I'll still help you with anything you need as far as set up a mirrored image of it.
Oh, perfect. Great.
Especially
yes, that would be amazing.
The pricing structures, what's really unique about patient recruitment and offering it as a service.
Exactly.
So if
Yeah,
you want
because-
to tell me separately, because it's a long conversation, I'd be happy to talk to you at a time.
Perfect. Yes, because also let's consider that Spain is 20 times smaller than the US. So prices will definitely have to change.
It's not necessarily the exact price. It's the pricing structure you want.
The model.
So the prices are relevant and customized to whatever trial you're recruiting for. I wouldn't focus on price as much as price structure and how you offer it, because you have to have a sellable product. If you want to contact me, and I also, I think you're thinking way too narrow if you're talking about just Spain. It's a global marketplace right now. You can recruit patients worldwide, or at least places where you can target your marketing, and if you can speak the language, you can recruit patients there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yes, my partner and I both together speak 5 languages. So
well,
that's hopefully
if you've got English and Spanish, you've got a good portion of the world covered. So
English, Spanish, French, and Japanese.
Hello, I am the partner.
Yes, this is Bruno.
I'm currently based in Peru.
Awesome.
Yes, our idea was to initially start in Peru and Spain at the same time. So yes, that's a plan. But I would love to talk more about it with you.
my LinkedIn's on there. I've posted my email, I believe.
Perfect.
You can contact me through the site. It's patientds.com as well. Like patient delivery systems, patientds.com.
Yeah, Daniel and Mary Mayorga would like to talk to you too. So make sure we all connect with one another. Everyone's putting their LinkedIn there. But if you need, like, if you're watching this and you want to get connected to someone, you can't find them, just message me on LinkedIn and I'll connect you.
Awesome.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And I think that's it. But yeah, Barcelona. I love Barcelona. It's like my favorite city in the world.
Too. I was living in Barcelona for 14
doesn't?
years.
Oh, nice.
Oh my God. What is it, like almost midnight there? You guys
Yes.
are just starting like
Yes, it's 12.
2 o'clock?
Oh, hey, Dan, I did want to, before we let everybody go, I did want to mention to everybody, we will be doing a COVID series. This will be kind of, I think, we haven't decided the official dates, but it's going to be once a week or once every 2 weeks. Then the first one we'll be doing is on vaccinations. We'll be going into research about the vaccinations that are already out, about the companies, the stats on the companies, how we're going to how you address it, with site staff, or how you deal with patients or subjects that are going through the vaccine while in the study, and very, very serious, like a very good, current hot topics that are up right now that everybody should be discussing. After that, it'll be one more about clinic and sponsor life, how it is, for you as a site PI or site CRC, what are you doing? How are you addressing these things with your site staff, etc. So there's a lot of good things that are going to be coming down the pipelines, just so you know. To keep your eye out and open on LinkedIn, and also to please go to our website and make sure that you share your information with us. Send us an email. Dan will be sending out an email to notify you all how to contact us, to let us know a little bit more about you as a person, you as a clinical researcher, as well as your site or your company or business, so we can go ahead and start communicating with you on scheduling webinars and one-on-one interviews. Awesome.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, please refer anyone you know to this group, any race, any ethnicity, anyone you can think of who's curious about research, wants to join research, is already in research. As you can see, the networking effect is pretty powerful, even with a small group. So the bigger we get, the more time we'll dedicate to doing these mixers. at the end. So please refer anyone you know or think might be remotely interested in this, and we'd love to grow this this group with you guys and grow our opportunities together. So thank you all very much. I'll send the replay out, and I'll post this on YouTube as well, and talk to you guys all soon.
Thank you,
All
Dana.
right,
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
thank
you.
you.